You can start whenever you're ready, Claire.
Thanks, Alex. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 24th, 2022 meeting of the CD6 Business Affairs and Licensing Committee. My name is Claire Brennan, and I'm the chair of this committee. This meeting is called to order at 6:31 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by Community Associate Alex Crawford. Members of the public, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. If there is time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. Seema has volunteered to take minutes tonight. Thank you very much, Seema. You all should have received an email from the board office with a link to a doodle sign-up sheet for minute takers at your committee meetings in 2022. For your convenience, the link to the sign-up sheet is being posted in the chat right now. If you haven't signed up yet, please do so as soon as possible. We will now take attendance by roll call, and Alexandra will conduct the roll call.
Committee members, I will call your name and you will unmute yourselves. When your name is called, please say present. I will announce if there is quorum. Claire Brennan.
Present.
Charles Fernandez.
Present.
Paige Judge.
Present.
Anton Malner.
Present.
Seema Shah.
Present.
Susan Steinberg.
Present.
Michael Devereaux. Michael Devereaux. I'll come back. Dan Devine. Dan Devine. Jeannie D'Onofrio.
Present.
John Keller.
Present.
And Kevin, I believe Kevin said he wasn't going to be here tonight. So last call, Michael Devereaux and Dan Devine. Okay, we have a quorum.
Thanks, Alex. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and appears before you on the screen. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand through Zoom now. And I will look through here for a minute. I'm not seeing any raised hands. So seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the February 24th committee meeting were distributed ahead of time. If there is no objection, we will adopt these minutes as drafted. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting these minutes, you may raise your hand through Zoom now. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands objecting the minutes. So those are adopted. Thank you, everyone. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules that we all know by now, but gotta say them again. No one may speak until granted the floor. Committee members, if you have a question about committee business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. The chat function should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties that you are having or to state in writing information like an email address. That was already stated out loud on record during the meeting. When a committee member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can unmute yourself so that you can speak. We are required by New York State law to have a transcript of the meeting, so please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. I will add that we have a lot on the agenda tonight, so I just want to reiterate succinct comments that are pertinent to the discussion and haven't been mentioned before. So let's get started with the agenda. First up is a new on-premises license for New York Luxury Cruise, Inc. at 2430 FDR Drive. Is there a representative from this establishment here tonight?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Rosa Rouge is representative for the applicant, and also on is Mr. Yang Gao.
Yeah, I'm the applicant.
Great. So can you walk us through your application, please?
Okay. So this is for a vessel liquor license, which will be moored at 2430 FDR Drive in Manhattan. The hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. He's going to have scheduled cruises, throughout that time. Serving food. There will be a DJ. There will be live performances. There will be dancing. Yep, over there.
Hmm.
And the other thing is, this is a transfer of an existing liquor license. So we're not adding a new vessel to the FDR Drive.
Thank you. So when you say it's going to be moored there, is it permanently stationed, or do you go out on like cruises?
No, so they go cruises around the city. So while the vessel is being moored there, when they have everybody go on, there's no music or anything going on. The music and everything else doesn't start happening until they're out at sea.
That makes sense.
That's per my contract with New York City Dock NYC. So there's no music to be played at the dock.
Thank you. I wonder if any committee members have any questions. Anton?
Yeah, a nitpicky question, I think. Under item 14, in the 30-day notice, it was checked that on the method of operation, that others were checked, and it was asking for a description, and there was no description. Was that a typo, or it was there?
No, that was just a typo. That was going too crazy with the checking of boxes. There is no
Okay.
other.
No problem.
Okay, Susan?
Thank you. I was just curious as to how many people you typically have on these cruises.
Well, we have Coast Guard mandated max capacity, and for this particular vessel is 300 person, so no more than 310 people. That's including crew and staff.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify. So you said, sorry, 310 people?
No, it's 337.
Oh,
Okay.
She knows better than I do because I don't have it in front of me, so she does.
No worries. Yeah, I just see that it says 337 on your
It's
application.
337.
So that's the number. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
John?
Yeah, hi. Do these tend to be groups of people or just random people who, and not that there's anything wrong with random people, but just random people who show up?
They're mostly groups. We're more of a company, so a lot of them are going to be bar mitzvahs, weddings, company gatherings, corporate parties, year-end parties, bonus parties, or just sightseeing. Because a lot of the companies, they want to do like a Manhattan skyline night cruise with us, and those are the majority of our businesses.
And what precautions do you have in place, especially if it's a gathering of younger people, such as a bar mitzvah or graduation party, in terms of alcohol?
Yeah, it's very easy. I mean, so there's a bracelet system. Most parents don't drink anyway, so we just do open soda bar. That's it.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you're very okay, because that's a concern of mine.
Oh yeah, we've done a lot of these.
Got it. Thank you.
To give you a little background, I'm a very seasoned operator. As an owner, I currently have active licenses. I run a restaurant on the Upper West Side, and also have a nightclub license on 41st Street and 6th Avenue. So we've operated that for a long time, and we've never had any issues with Liquor Authority. And
No problem. Got it.
no problems, no police presence,
Okay, yeah.
all of that.
Mhm.
That's great.
Thank you.
You
Thank
made
you.
the sale. You could stop. Thank you.
So yeah, to
Susan?
answer your question, I understand exactly how this is important, and it is, trust me, it's at my best interest to handle that correctly.
Thank you. Susan?
I was just wondering whether your guests are given a quick safety lesson here's the life vests and here's the lifeboats and don't jump into the water without them.
Well, I mean, that's why we have security guards. So per our contract, we have one security guard per 50 passengers. And this is a lot more than the federally stated 1 per 100, sometimes 1 per 75, depending on where you are. In New York, I've upped it to 1 per 50. So safety precautions aren't required by the Coast Guard because we abide by Coast Guard rules. Once we're on the water, it's Coast Guard rules. Whatever they tell us to do, we'll do it fully. But there is no safety announcement like per se, like what you would do on an airplane. But security guard are there to help, and life vests are on board. And all of our crew go through men overboard drills every 3 months, and they all have to pass that safety CPR certifications and all that kind of stuff.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
Jeannie?
Hey, a couple of questions for you. First, what are your business hours? I thought I heard 10 to 3 a.m., but I see 11 on the application.
So 11,
Well, so it's really 11 to 3 a.m., right? But I did an hour ahead of time because he's going to have his staff there preparing and getting everything ready before anyone, before he goes out.
Okay. And then question to you again, Yang, is what is your experience in working on a liquor, on a cruise? I know I heard you just say you have a nightclub and all that. How did you get involved in this cruise, disco cruise business?
The person I'm purchasing the vessel from, I've worked as a ticket agent, as a like an event organizer for a long time in my life. So I've organized events all over the city, and Marco Polo Cruises was one of my vendors that I worked with a lot. And, through working with them, through, acquiring the nightclub, through a lot of different experiences working with Marco, that I found the business to be a profitable and also a viable business. And plus it's cool to be on New York waters, because I don't know if you guys have been on one of these cruises before. It's gorgeous. You take the boat out of the East River, you go through all 3 bridges, Williamsburg, Brooklyn, Manhattan Bridge, and you reach Statue of Liberty, and it's breathtaking views. And what other better places for me to do my events, to give people what they want, to have a toast of champagne with New York City as a backdrop.
Thank you very much. Is that all you had, Jeannie?
Yes, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Paige? Oh, Paige, I think you're on mute if you're saying something, or.
Okay, sorry. My concern is the disembarking from the boat after having a few drinks. You're at the FDR Drive. We went over this with the former owner. We came to some kind of an agreement. I think we should do the same for this new owner.
What agreement are you suggesting?
Well, they make arrangements that they have either cars come to pick up these people, make sure they call services. You don't want a bunch of, especially late at night, wandering around the FDR Drive and then hearing about all these accidents. We did this before. We can go back to our former resolutions and see exactly. We do it every time this comes up.
I'm okay with that. I mean, well, I mean, they're not on FDR, they're on service road.
Service
FDR.
road, it's still that they wander.
Right. So
drinking.
What we do is there are several vessels that docks there, right? So the best way for us to control it, because we only have 300 people. So once you dissipate 300 people in about 45 minutes, it's not hard to get them out. So the problem that you guys had before with the dock is it's 4 boats or 5 boats docking at the same time. And that's the problem. When you have 1,000 people at the pier, it's a much bigger problem. And we understand that the issue, and I've talked to the city with the EDC who owns the piers, so that every single boat ride starting this season will be staggered. So there's not gonna be a 12 o'clock disembark of all the boats.
Wow.
And that's one way to control it. And number two, obviously, security. So we have competent security, which we have active contract with. That's NYPD sanctioned. So they will help dissipate people in a very orderly manner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the committee members? Do we have any questions from members of the public? I don't see any in the chat. And I don't see any attendees' hands up. So
Motion of no objection.
thank you, Susan. Does someone?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Anton. Alexandra, can you pull up the template? Okay, so this is a motion of no objection to this license. We could say the establishment is a boat that is docked along the FDR.
Well, 2430 FDR Drive.
Yeah, we can copy that from up top. The operating hours will be 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. The capacity is 337 people. And the establishment has hired or has a contract with a security group and will have one security guard per 50 attendees at each event. Okay. We could say like, whereas the committee expressed concern of when people leave the boat, express some concern. Whereas the applicant assured the committee that all safety protocols will be enforced. No members of the community had any comments for or against. And then we'll just do the vote how we usually do it. Committee members, if you do have an objection to this application, please raise your hand through Zoom now, and I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Okay, I don't see any hands up. So this resolution passes our committee. Thank you both for joining us this
Thank you very
evening. And the board office will be in touch.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too. Okay. Next up, we have a new on-premise license for Four Season Management Group LLC at 138 East 50th Street. Are there representatives from that establishment here?
Yes. Hi, everyone. This is Kiki from Four Seasons Management Group LLC. We also have our applicant, Olivia Wang, right here.
Great.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. Do one of you mind walking us through your application briefly?
Of course. So it is a brand new restaurant right underneath a luxury condominium located on 50th Street, the exact location as you mentioned before. We are serving chef-driven seafood-focused cuisine, more on the upscale fine dining level. And the space has 2.5 floors, with the ground floor being the main dining room where the bar is located, and a basement where the kitchen's gonna be, with 2 private dining rooms, also serving beverages and alcoholic beverages. Within the ground floor, we have a much smaller mezzanine level, which has a smaller bar as well as serving raw bar food. In terms of hours of operations, it's 11 a.m. to midnight daily, last seating being 10:30 p.m.
Great. Thank you. This sounds good to me. So you're just waiting on construction before you know exactly how many people you'll be able to host at one time?
We have the capacity numbers already, if you would like to hear that.
Yes, if you don't mind sharing.
So on the ground floor, it's 140, cellar, meaning basement, 70, and mezzanine level 37.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like close to 250 total.
Correct.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone from the committee have any questions for the applicant? So I don't see any questions from the committee for you all, but I do see someone from the public who has a question. So Richard Carlson wants to know how many full and part-time staff will be employed.
Full-time staff will have 1 general manager, 1 beverage director. So that's 2 plus 4 to 5 floor managers. They're not going to be on the floor at the same time, obviously. And then part-time employee-wise, front of house, about 25, back of the house, about 15 to 20.
Thank you. Are there any other questions here? Or maybe a motion?
Motion of no objection.
Thanks, Jeannie. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, John. Alexandra, do you mind pulling up the resolution when you get a chance? Okay, so no objection. The establishment is a new chef-driven seafood restaurant. I guess actually we could say the establishment is a new multi-level chef-driven.
Can I just, I'm so sorry. Can I point out one thing? Within the document, I just want to make sure it says Olivia Wen and Kiki Gu. That is not our legal name. Should we put in our legal name just to make sure it's accurate?
I guess whatever you're using on the SLA application,
Mm-hmm.
Those are the names that should be here. So
it's probably not going to be that because it has to be a legal name, I would think.
Mhm.
Should we put in both just in case?
Alexandra, what do you think?
As
Yeah,
in
whatever.
adding the legal
Yeah,
name?
whatever's best for you. Just let me know how to spell.
Great.
Yeah, and I can
Sure.
just add it in right now.
Thank you so much. For Olivia, can you put in Xin Yao, Xin? Yep, Yao, exactly that. And for me, can you put in Liang Ji, Liang? G as in Google, J as in Jake, and then I as in India. That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't think that there were really any committee stipulations or public comments, so we can, and there weren't any comments for or against, so we have no objection here. But again, if any committee members do object to this application, I'll give you a few seconds to raise your hand. And you can be recorded as such, but I'm not seeing any hands. So this resolution passes in our committee. Thank you both for being here, and we wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So now we have a new on-premise license for LB33 LLC at 154 East 33rd Street. Are the applicants from this establishment?
Good evening. I'm Alan Gardner. I'm the attorney for the applicant, and also present tonight is Louis Gill, who is going to be the manager and is also one of the principal owners.
Great. Thank you both for joining us. Can one of you walk us through your application?
Yes, this is technically a new application, but it isn't really new. This is an upscale cocktail lounge that's been operated for about 10 years under Middle Branch LLC. And there's been some change in ownership requiring a new application, but it actually will continue the method of operation that Middle Branch followed for all these years. The landlord, who could not be present tonight, had a last-minute obligation, but the landlord is John Bonsignori, and normally the landlord would not accompany us in connection with an application, except that John will continue as landlord, but he was also a principal of Middle Branch. And actually, John's two sons are going to be owners of LB33. So he is really interested in obviously a landlord is always interested in the success of an operation, but John will also be making sure that the method of operation doesn't vary from what was operated by Middle Branch. This is going to be, and Louis Gill is here if there are any questions specifically about the operation. we submitted your form of questionnaire, and there are a couple of things that did not get into the questionnaire that I just want to mention to the extent that you might be relying on it. I think we said there was going to be no live music. There will be there always was going to be recorded music, but I've learned that there will be live jazz, acoustic jazz, not amplified, a couple of days a week. I don't think it would affect any or cause any quality of life issues if it's acoustic jazz rather than recorded music, but it certainly has not been a problem, will not be a problem for any of the neighbors. And I understand that the windows may be kept open until 10 or 11 p.m. And I think the questionnaire indicated that the windows would not be open, but they are going to be closed. We don't think there would be much noise traveling out the windows anyway, but I wanted to make sure that that we noted that. And I think we said there will be nobody hired as at the door, but the principals of LB 33 will be checking patrons at the door. I don't think that would be a problem in any event. It's my understanding that we do not attract a really young crowd. Louis is here to speak about that and anything else that he wants to add about the application.
Yeah, we were just wondering if it was possible to have live jazz on the slow nights. I believe we had it in the past, just a couple of days, maybe 3 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, if possible. Just a couple hours, usually done by 9, 10 p.m. Just like a saxophone, bass player, and maybe like a little guitar. And the windows, yeah, if we could keep them open in the summer, it would be nice. If not, totally fine. Not the end of the world. But yeah, there won't be any changes. We just one of the owners passed away a couple of years ago, so we had to make some changes on the ownership, and we just had to apply for a new license. We just want to keep operating the same way it was operating before. We have another location in the West Village, and it's called Little Branch. It's been open for gonna be 17 years in a couple of months. Never had any issues, never had any problems with the police, nothing. So hopefully we can get that, we can work it out. Don't know if you
Thank you both. So it's Louis, right?
Louis, yeah.
You have been working there for a while.
Yeah, I started as a barback and just worked myself up. I'm one of the owners now and going to be managing this one as well if it happens. Wonderful.
Yeah, I think that, I appreciate you coming here and telling us about the edits to the application. They're on the record at the meeting now, but it would be great if Alan could redo the application with the changes that you requested reflected in the application and send it to the board office. But we hear you, and I think that acoustic jazz is reasonable, and the open windows until 10 p.m. are fine with me too. We'll hear from the committee as well, but I was just wondering, so I see that you want to be open until 3 a.m. and I was looking at, I guess the Yelp page of Middle Branch said that you all were just open until 2 a.m. I just wanted to have some clarification on that change.
Yeah, we just wanted to see if that was an option. Only for the weekends. We never really ended up staying that late anyway. So if it's an option and we can do that on the weekends, like only the busy nights, it would be great. If not, we will just keep it at 2 if that's easier.
Okay, thank you. Paige? Paige, I can't tell if you're talking, but if you are, you're on mute. Do you have a question, Paige? Oh, you're still on mute. We can see you now, but we can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
What was the former name of the company? Of
It
the
was-
rest-
It was middle branch.
Okay, thank. It had no other name?
The new one, the new one is LB33.
Okay.
I don't think there was a separate and different DBA.
No.
Thank you.
Fine, thank you.
Are there any other questions from the committee? And I'm not seeing any questions from attendees either. So do we have a motion?
Motion of no objection.
Thanks,
The
Anton.
stipulations you indicated.
Mhm.
Second.
Thank you, Susan. So let's pull up the template for the resolution. We have no objection. The establishment is an upscale cocktail lounge. And so, sorry, the hours were 4 p.m. to 3 a.m. Is that 7 days a week that you're requesting?
If possible, if not, just on the weekends.
Mm-hmm. And then the whereas there will be occasional acoustic live jazz performances.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And also whereas on warm nights, the windows will be kept open until 10 p.m. Okay, I think.
Are you going to still need me to amend the questionnaire because you're picking this up in the resolution, which is what will show the liquor authority? Yeah,
it's just for the office's records to have an updated questionnaire. That would be helpful.
Okay, I'll get that in the
Thank
next
you.
couple of days.
Yeah, when you get a chance.
Okay.
So there are no comments from community members. No objection. And if you are on this committee and you do object to this application, I'll let you raise your hand. Excuse me, now. I don't see any hands raised, so this resolution passes in our committee. Thank you both for being here and walking us through.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too. Take care. Okay. Next up, we have a new on-premises license for 244 Restaurant LLC doing business as Il Tinello at 244 East 46th Street. Oh, Alex. Mm-hmm.
So for this application, I reached out to the liquor license lawyer a couple times, and I didn't hear back. So unless they are here now, it seems like there's a large chance they're not here tonight to present,
Okay. I
but
remember
we
you
can
saying
see.
that.
Yeah.
Is anyone here from Il Tonello? I don't think so, but I actually do see Anne Seligman's hand up, so. Oh, maybe it's down now. Anne, do you mind? Okay, I'll allow you to talk. Okay, and now I think you should be able to unmute yourself.
I think I'm unmuted.
You are, we can hear you, thank you.
Okay, so I was just gonna actually ask the question. This is at the location of a restaurant directly across the street from me, which is like a super fancy Italian place, really great. I wouldn't come here just to speak about them, but I am curious about what the relationship is to the previous restaurant, which is Il Grifone. You know, Il Grifone has always been.
Sorry, Anne, are you asking about Il Tonello?
Yes, I am, because the location is the same.
Okay, we don't have any representatives here from them, so I mean,
Right.
I don't
So
have any.
I'm just throwing it out there that should this, I'm not here for that, but because I'm here, so should it come up again, it just would be interesting to know what, like the restaurant that was there before was this like long-standing, like really old school, fancy Italian, the kind of place you take your parents, you know what I mean? So, you know, if it's related to them, it has been a kind of no problem thing. If there's something else going on, like if I see it on the agenda, I'll come back. But I just wanted to throw that one little piece of data out there.
Thank you, Anne. That's noted. And we'll ask if they show up next time, and I'll report back if you're not here. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to the next item, which is a new on-premise license for FDR NYC Corp. doing business as Chateau 49 at 924 2nd Avenue. Is the representative from Chateau 49 here? Lorianne, you just have to unmute yourself, but then you could take it away and walk us through your application.
My client's here. Can you hear me?
Oh, hi.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Stacy Weiss. I represent FNR. Give me 1 second to pull up the application. I had here. Okay. Yes. I'm representing FNR. Where are my clients? I don't see them. I don't know where they are. They were here a minute ago. Anyway,
I'm right here.
FNR,
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Hey, how you doing,
All right.
Stacy?
Yeah. Good. How you doing? This is it used to be 1005 Barrel, and it's actually the same people that own it. It's going to be run the same way. My clients actually, the husband and wife now, they were boyfriend and girlfriend. They got married, and now they just want to. They changed the corporation, and they want to start fresh. It's exactly the same restaurant as it was before. It's going to be run the same way. So everything is exactly the same, except they changed the corporation, and because they got married, and they want to start fresh. Otherwise, everything is exactly the same. In fact, the only thing they want to do is just change a couple of days. They would like to add an hour to their time, 3 days a week. I think it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They would like to add 1 hour to their time. That's the only change. Otherwise, everything is exactly the same. It's a French restaurant. It's been there for a few years, and may staying the same. Everything is exactly the same. So if there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you both for being here. I see on the application that there is not going to be outdoor dining. But then
Maybe this is something that was not fixed, but we did it the year after we opened, so we do have open outdoor dining actually.
Is that what the New York the streets? Is that what the new program?
No, we had it. We had it the first year. The first year we opened. The next summer we did actually apply for a sidewalk cafe license, and we do have it. Yeah.
Okay, that must have been that was, I guess, the paralegal that did this probably copied the original application.
The former, yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah,
she copied the application and probably
from the first one we had.
Yeah. So that she copied the application. I'm sorry about that. I did not notice that. So they have a sidewalk cafe.
Okay. So sorry, is it a sidewalk cafe or is it like roadway seating?
Well, you had a sidewalk cafe. They actually applied for a sidewalk cafe, and were approved for that before COVID, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, before COVID, they had a sidewalk cafe.
And then with COVID, we added the roadway.
Then they added the roadway to that. I apologize for that. I should have noticed that.
That's okay. So just similar to the last applicant, if you can fix the application and send it to the office, we would appreciate that, but we can note
I'll amend it. I'll amend it and send it to the office, of course.
Thank you so much.
I'll change that. Yes, no problem.
Wonderful. Do any committee members have questions? And Tom, were you asking about the outdoor dining situation too? Great minds.
Yeah, I really apologize for that.
Don't worry, it's okay. Completely understand. We just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, and then like I said, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they would like to add an hour. Right now, Thursday and Friday and Saturday close at 3. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they would like to close at the same time.
Okay, so I see in the application, it says Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m., but you want that to be 3 a.m.
Yeah, we'd like to, across the board. Sunday, they would keep the hours the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just add that extra hour during Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Keep it, same thing across the board.
Okay. So then that would just be an additional edit when you send the amended application.
Right, yes. I would change that, on the edit.
Okay. Are there any questions from committee members, or I don't see any from members of the public?
Sorry about that.
So maybe there's a motion.
Motion of no objection.
No.
Okay, I heard Seema and Jeannie seconded. Thank you both. Thanks.
Thank you.
Alexandra, can you okay. So resolution of no objection.
Speaking. Yes. I call.
Okay, so did you say this was an Italian restaurant?
No, French.
French, sorry. Oh yeah, Chateau. Sorry.
That's fine, no worries. No worries.
Is a French restaurant. And, oh, you know what? I do see a question. I guess we already voted, but
that's fine.
So the outside area, when you do outdoor dining, we expect you to be in compliance with the program. So I do see a comment from a member of the public asking about the outside area, it being more than half the sidewalk on Second.
No, it was actually we had one day due to like some bad weather, and we had a new hire at a restaurant, and so tables were put away that they were not supposed to, and so obviously the same day we have someone from the DOT and DOB that came in and then asked us just to move them towards the window, but that's about it. Like the space is here for people to walk through the sidewalk, and the same way on the street side on 49th Street.
Okay, so after DOT came, you instructed all of your staff as to the proper way to set up the outdoor dining?
Correct. He was a new hire, so he kind of had no clue yet on how to put the tables, and it happened on the morning, and that was like his second day, I think. It was like a while ago, about like a year and a half ago. So
okay,
yeah,
so
but we fixed it the same day.
Thank you very much. I would just like implore you to keep checking and make sure that there's a manager present. I also, we require that all establishments post signage on their like window or door somewhere that you could see with a phone number of like a manager that could be reached, and if there are any issues that arise in the moment. So we would request that you do that as well.
Sure, it's actually posted on our windows on Second Avenue side.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Jeannie, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to note that if you go on Google Maps, you can actually, there's a really current photo from May of last year. You can see the two sidewalk, the outdoor cafe, eating areas.
Okay.
And I just want to add, they look fine, and they look fine.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Okay, so glad that was cleared up. We could pull back up the resolution. Sandra, could you just pull that up again, the resolution?
Sorry, I thought I was sharing my screen.
No worries. Thank you. So I think we could say a member of the community was concerned with outdoor dining setup. And whereas the establishment ensured that they will adhere to all open dining requirements. Okay, great. Thank you. Yep, no objection. And I'll give the committee a second to raise their hand if they do object to this application. But otherwise, I think we are all set. Thank you both for being here. And Stacy, if you could just send that updated questionnaire when you get a chance to the office, we'd appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Yes, I'll take care of that. No problem. Thank you.
Thank
Have
you
a good
both.
night. All right. Bye-bye.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye.
Okay, so next up is a new on-premise license for Maison Rouge. A lot of French places tonight doing business as Maison Rouge at 148 East 40th Street. Is there a representative from Maison Rouge here that can walk us through their application? Is that Stacy? Oh, no, Stacy was just.
I was communicating with them because they had joined earlier and were having technical difficulties. I believe if you're, I think they might have joined as an attendee. Are you the 415 number?
Oh, is that Ariana?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you could raise your hand if you're present for the meeting.
Maybe we should let them talk for a sec. I don't know. Is it easy to raise your hand when you're on the phone on Zoom? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, okay, I can allow them to talk and to see. Let's see.
Hello?
Ariana, is that you? Yeah.
Yes, hello?
Okay. Yeah, we
Hello?
can hear you.
Hi. Hi, I am so sorry. I have just been having the worst technical difficulties.
That's
I
okay.
apologize for the
No worries. You're here
so,
now.
and I'm like going, hello, hello. And then you guys are like, there's someone there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. No one can hear me.
You. Thank you.
Yes. So basically Maison Rouge is going to be a private event space. It is not open to the public. We are still under construction. I just went today and touch space. We're looking in terms of opening wise, probably about end of May, beginning of June. Everything on premise would be a private event. And not open to public. We're in the process of getting a catering alcohol permit and license, and anybody who is employed there would obviously be able to do the catering license and permit and serve alcohol as well. So, yeah. We have more stuff up to date, but we're still, like I said, really in the early phases. We had some issues with construction being held back a little bit. Hello?
Sorry, yes, we're here.
Okay.
Alexandra.
Okay, sorry, I just want to make sure you can
I know,
hear me.
it's okay. We can hear you. Thank you for walking us through your application. I'm wondering if Alexandra, could you pull up the street view of this establishment? And I just have a follow-up question. So it says that there is a rooftop, but it's not going to be used for every event. Is that like something that you're?
Right. So we do have a rooftop. We do own the full building. It will, like I said, we can't, we don't know what people are going to bring in terms of an event, but it is up to them if they want to use it, but it wouldn't be used for every event. But I imagine several events during the summertime it would be used for. But like I said, of course, it's private, closed to the public, and not everyone could come in.
Okay. Is it the gray building or? Oh,
I'm sorry?
The screen. It's okay. So what time will the events typically wrap up? I don't see that.
Well, I mean, right now we don't really have like a time estimate. I mean, in terms of outside, nothing will be probably past like 11:30. But in terms of inside the venue, I guess it depends on what the event is or how long the event is, what they want to do. But usually, I mean, I don't imagine longer than midnight.
Okay, thank you. Do any committee members have questions? John?
Yeah, hi, thank you for being here. You know,
Hi, Doc.
we've had, you know, event sites before that have, you know, presented problems for the neighbors in the neighborhood. And so just a couple of simple questions. I mean, are you going to have an outside line if there are more people than, what is the capacity of the event space?
So we're actually quite a small venue. In terms of, you're probably looking about, you know, up to 150 people maximum. In terms of, there will not be a line. Usually, I think you know, if there for any event, we'll have security. Everything will usually run smoothly. You know, we're actually like next to a courtyard in the Shake Shack, and we're right next to a hotel. So luckily, you know, we won't be going on late, and everything would be under control with having the security and the proper people being in charge.
Okay, what is the experience of the people, if you said this, I apologize for missing it, who are running this? Have they run something like this before, or?
Yes, so I have about 10 years in the business. I moved here from Los Angeles. I've done events coordination and sales. And the investors and people who are starting this up have about 15 to 20 years worth of experience. So this is going to be their first venue in the US. However, they have places all over in Canada, Montreal, and Toronto. But yes.
Okay, I guess obviously, you know, we're going on trust here a bit, but just that, you know, we have had a history in other locations of events where the crowd outside gets a little bit out of control, and there's noise for the neighbors, and whenever people leave, you know, their cars lined up.
Right,
and you know, just all of
no
these
question.
just if I could finish, just things to be aware of, that, you know, if we start to hear from neighbors, you know, that would be about things like that. That would be an issue. But otherwise, you know, I'm happy to support this. But just to give you a heads up that, you know, we've seen this before. So.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely, obviously, like I said, we'll make sure that all of our events are fully staffed with security, that there's no loitering. You know, I have experience in nightlife and hospitality, so it's like I know how rowdy it can get, and I'm used to dealing with kind of those crowds and having a system where we don't have that issue, especially in the community. So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from committee members? Ariana, I would also implore you to, as we requested of the last participant, excuse me, to, you know, put up a signage that has a phone number that community members could reach out to should there be any issues that arise. It helps you all too. If anything happened, hopefully folks will call you instead of the police, where things could escalate. So,
yes. Do you want that sign posted on the door right now, or once we open?
You can do it once you open. I doubt there'll be.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was like, because we're gonna have like a work phone, and right now we don't have it at the moment, and I was like, I don't really want to put my phone number up there.
That's fine. That's fine. Once you start operating, you should do put the work phone number up. Thank you. I don't see any more questions from committee members or from the public.
Motion of no objection.
Thanks, Susan.
Second.
Thank you, John.
I abstain.
Okay, Paige, thank you very much. We have one
Not
abstention.
enough information.
And are there any other votes against or abstentions? I do see a question from a member of the public. I think asking about outdoor space, which was answered. There was not going to be any activity on the rooftop past 11:30 p.m. And on their questionnaire, they anticipated, and I think she mentioned this in her spiel, that they anticipate to open in May 2022. Was that right?
Yes, but actually, like I said, we are having like constructions being like some issues came up. So we're probably looking at more towards the end of May of 2022 and the beginning of June 2022.
Great, thank you very much.
And of course, we'll keep you guys up to date with all those dates and information. That's just what I got from the contractor today when I spoke with him. So
okay, thank you very much. Alexandra, do you mind pulling up the resolution? Great, thank you so much. I would add a whereas after the operating hours to say that the rooftop hours will not extend past 11:30 p.m.
Yes, or 12.
Okay, so you said 11:30, but is it 11:30 or 12? Often I think that as a committee and a community, we would feel more comfortable with 11:30. A lot of times we request even earlier, so I think 11:30 is appropriate.
Okay, perfect. So we'll do 11:30.
Thank you. Seema?
I just wanted to clarify. I think Claire, and please someone else can prove me wrong. I actually think she did say 12 during her background on the space. That's what I just remember. I didn't jot it down. I know I'm taking minutes. I didn't jot that specifically down, but I remember because I'm trying to pay closer attention than usual to the back and forth. Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that.
Thank you. So we'll go back in the recording. That's the beauty of it being live. I am pretty sure that I heard 11:30, but I definitely could be wrong. So we'll check on that, and whatever was said initially. Again, I would feel more comfortable with 11:30, but I think that if it was midnight initially, we can change it back. So we'll just let you know, Ariana.
Okay, sounds good.
But yeah, there were no committee stipulations. Well, I guess, John, would you want to add something to the stipulation piece?
No, the respondents seem to be aware of these issues, and I'm sure we'll hear about it if there's an issue. I mean, in this environment, I think we should bend over backwards to give the approval, but just that I think we've made the respondent aware that, in the past, when you have event venues, there have been issues, that's all.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna say no members of the community had any questions because they were answered in our conversation. No objection, and that's that. So I know Paige was going to abstain, but again.
I still am going to abstain.
Yep, that's fine, Paige. Thank you for letting us know. And if anyone else has a vote that's not an affirmative vote, you can just raise your hand on Zoom or speak out now to share with us. But I don't see any hands raised, so this resolution passes our committee. Thank you for joining. Sorry about the technical issues, but I'm glad we resolved them and we're able to hear from you. Good luck with the rest of construction.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to the board, to the committee. We look forward to being part of the community. And again, thank you so much. And we, like I said, we'll keep you up to date with anything that we get, any news and stuff we get. Thank you so much. I do apologize about that technical
No worries.
difficulty.
It's okay. Thank you. We got you here. So good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks again. The next item on the agenda, take care,
thank you,
is a new on-premises license for Beyond Faux Corp. Doing business as 5 Spice. Oh no, sorry, Serafina. Whoops. Sorry. I misspoke and skipped one. So I see, Kim, you were ready to go, but we just have one more before you come up. So actually the 7th item is a new on-premises license for Serafina 38th Street LLC at 22 East 38th Street. Kevin, are you the representative here for Serafina?
Yes, good evening. I'm the purchasing director for Serafina Management Group.
Excellent.
So
could you walk us through your application here?
Sure. So Fabio Granato and Vittorio Asaf have been owners and operators of Serafina Management Group for the past 27 years. We have right now 14 locations throughout New York City and Westchester and the Hamptons. And we are opening in the NH Hotel at 22 East 38th Street and corner of Madison Avenue. So we will be serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We'll be open 7 a.m. until, we would like to stay open until 12 midnight if you approve, and have the option of on weekends until 2 a.m. We are an Italian restaurant group, and basic pizza, pasta, salads, grilled items, fish. There will be no like live entertainment. It's all basically family, dining. And we're applying for a full wine, beer, and liquor license. We'll have approximately 121 seats with a basement kitchen.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you being here. I just had a few questions. So no outdoor dining.
We would like to. I'm not sure what the policy may be on Madison Avenue.
Oh, sorry. I do see that you would want to do that. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, as we said throughout this meeting, you're required to adhere to the city's outdoor dining requirements. But I'm sure you all know that with your 14 restaurants in the area. So another question that I had, could you just restate hours of operation? Because I think they differ from what you requested in the questionnaire.
Yes, and apologies. I just, being that we're in a hotel, we have to be open for breakfast. So we open up at 7 a.m. for breakfast as the requirement for the hotel. And ownership is asking if it's possible. Most of our restaurants serve until 11 p.m. We would like to ask, being it's in a hotel, if we could be until midnight.
Okay, so you said midnight?
Yes, on 12 midnight.
And that's 7 days a week?
Yes. If, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Just wanted to clarify. So 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to midnight.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Do any committee members have questions for Kevin here? Susan?
I thought that Kevin had said something about on the weekends he'd like to be open to 2 a.m. And as much as he's part of a hotel, I personally don't see that as a problem.
Okay, thank you.
So are you asking for 2 a.m., Kevin?
On 2 a.m. on weekends, if we can, please.
Okay. I'm in agreement with Susan on that, and you obviously are well established across the city. Paige?
Okay, I'm very familiar with this spot. I know the 2 restaurants that preceded it. I know the hotel. I work down the block from it. That's basically not a residential neighborhood. We should have no problems, even if they had an outdoor cafe, but they would probably have to do it on the side street.
Okay. Thanks, Paige. Appreciate that insider knowledge. I don't see any more committee hands up. Let me check on participants. Oh, Anne Seligman, I think you can unmute yourself now.
Yeah, hi again. Like, not why I joined this meeting tonight, but I just had happened to notice a day or two ago a complaint about the Serafina on 55th Street and Broadway, that it was taking up kind of an outdoor, the outdoor dining was taking up kind of an excessive amount of the sidewalk. And when I looked at the picture, I kind of felt the same way. Like, it's not our district, but if it was our district, I would for sure want somebody to go and kind of walk it. It's less than two. I actually have it. If I can share my screen, I can show you what I'm talking about.
It's okay. We trust you.
Yeah, but and I can, email a screenshot of this, but I would be hesitant, certainly, to permit outdoor dining for these guys. And I know the reason I am here tonight is to discuss, like, where we're going with outdoor dining. But I am concerned that places need to be considerate of everybody else that's using.
Completely agreed. And so, yeah, as I said, should they add outdoor dining space, we as a committee would expect them to be in full compliance with the city's rules and regulations. And I think Kevin did already agree to that. So I don't really want to punish anyone for something.
Clara, I guess my concern is that there is some possibility that they are already not complying with those regulations in locations where they presently exist. And, perhaps we should check in with, I guess it's CB5 would be like 54th and 7th, where their other location is and just see like, hey, are they having any issues like before? I would love it if you would do that before I vote on this in full board.
Okay, we can have the office check in on that. But the committee is going to vote as they.
Of course. And I'll send along this
thank you
picture about it.
Great. Thank you, Anne. Susan?
Sorry.
Can we just make it a stipulation that if they have outdoor dining, they have to follow the rules with respect to the amount of the amount of footage between the curb and their facility?
Yep, I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Jeannie?
Wouldn't that be a whole separate application? I mean, for the square footage and all the requirements for outside, so this doesn't really pertain to this license?
Oh.
For this application?
Yeah, well, for COVID, they kind
that's
of.
That's open, yeah, that's open streets right, but that's, right, I see what you're saying. I thought he meant going forward beyond open streets. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll just add it in a stipulation. And I don't know, Kevin, if you have a response, you're welcome to share, but.
Oh, sorry, apologies. I was waiting for everyone to speak. So the outdoor structure, I think that Ms. Seligman is referring to is the one for the, as you say, during COVID for the street dining. But I can assure you that we would not be putting anything like that or asking to put anything like that on any of the streets outside of our establishment on 38th Street.
I think just for some background for you, we're like located in Midtown Manhattan and space is very limited, especially sidewalk space. So we have, as a committee, witnessed a number of establishments not adhering to the regulations, which require at least 8 feet of space to be passable on the sidewalk that accommodates, families with strollers or folks who might use a wheelchair to get around. And that's something that's really, really important to us. And we do follow up on a regular basis. When we get a complaint from a community member, we'll reach out to the contact on file that we have of the establishment, but we'll also reach out to the enforcement agencies at the city that work through the city to kind of like check on the establishment. So we trust that you will adhere to those, but should you not, we'll definitely be reaching out and
understood.
Yeah.
No, we will apply for all the required permits and adhere to all guidelines.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So is there a motion here? I'm not seeing any.
A favorable motion.
I'll second.
Paige and Anton seconds it. If there are any votes that aren't affirmative, please raise your hand now, or you could just speak and we'll write those down. I see a hand up from a member of the public, but we already went on to voting. I'm sorry. Alexandra, could you pull up the resolution? Can you zoom in a little? Sorry. Thank you. Okay, so no objection. The establishment is an Italian restaurant. So the stipulation that we could mention is whereas when the establishment installs any seating outdoors, they will be in full compliance with the city's open dining and sidewalk seating rules. I'm going to say no community members have any comments. And there's no objection. Okay. Thank you, Kevin, for being here. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And if you could just send us an updated application with the hours of operation updated, so we have that on file.
Yes,
Thank
I will.
you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Okay. Oof, gosh. Next up, we have a new on-premises license for Beyond Faux Corp. Now it's your time to shine, doing business as 5 Spice at 363 3rd Avenue. So thank you so much for wading through all of our previous applications. Appreciate you here.
Not a problem.
If you don't mind just walking us through your application quickly.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anthony Caraballo. I'm the representative for Beyond Faux Corp, doing business as 5 Spice. Kim Ching Chow, affectionately known as Alex, is on the call with us as well. The premises is located at 363 3rd Avenue. That's between 26th and 27th. It will be Vietnamese cuisine. The restaurant will have 28 tables with 56 seats, 10 seats at the bar. Hours of operation will be a midnight closing Sunday through Thursday, 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. And Saturday and Sunday, there will be 10 a.m. brunch. So it'll be opening for brunch. Background music only, no outdoor seating. This premises, for context, for committee members, was the former Bao Brothers. It was a Chinese restaurant prior. So Alex has extensive experience in the industry. He has over 2 decades, first with his parents' restaurant in Long Island, this Asian Chinese restaurant. He was also the general manager of 110 Japan, Hibachi Sushi, located in Huntington Station. He's also already licensed at the same on Mulberry Street. He was approved by CB2 downtown. He has a license there already. So this is the second application. And we'd be delighted to address any questions the committee has. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for keeping it short and sweet. Sounds great to me. It was very clear. I don't have any questions, but maybe some committee members might. And I do see one from a board member who is not on this committee. So if no one else from the committee has a question, I'm gonna allow Letty to talk. Letty, you should be able to unmute yourself and ask your question.
That was a mistake. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries, but hello. Good
Move
to see
along.
you.
Thank you so much.
Moving along, no worries.
Thank you, Letty.
Okay. So is there anyone?
Motion of no objection.
Thank you, Susan.
Second.
John, and John seconds that. Thank you. Alexandra, when you get a chance, if you don't mind pulling up the resolution. Great. So it's no objection. The establishment is a Vietnamese restaurant.
Yes.
And the operating hours were clear in your questionnaire and also out loud, but just want to confirm 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Monday through Thursday. 12 p.m. Oh, sorry. So 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. on Fridays, and then you'll serve brunch on Saturday and Sunday. That will start at 10 a.m. and your service will end at 2 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. That's correct.
Yes.
Wonderful. So I think you could delete that, whereas there were no community comments. So our committee has no objection to this application. Again, if a committee member does have does want to vote in a non-affirmative way, raise your hand now so we can record that. But otherwise, I think you all should be good to go. And I wish you the best.
Friday on the weekend is it says here to 12. If it's on Friday, we could close at 2 as well, and on Sunday we will be willing to close at 12 or even earlier. I'm sorry.
And Saturday hours were 2 a.m. and the rest of the week was midnight, 12 a.m.
Yes.
Okay.
Good eyes.
Sorry, could you repeat the hours? So for Friday, it's 10 a.m. or 12 p.m.
Be 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. It's just 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. The rest of the week is midnight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops, sorry.
Where is Alexandra? Okay. Okay, and in that time, I haven't seen any hands go up, so it seems like this resolution passed in our committee. Thank you both for being here, and again, for your patience. Being the last applicant is not easy because these meetings usually do run late, but thank you again, and we look forward
Thank you.
to
I can interject here. New York is certainly coming back. I had 6 community board meetings 2 weeks ago. And I have to compliment you guys. This is a peaceful, stress-free meeting. Thank you. Mostly they're, and Ms. Crawford also does a good job. And I made sure to wait till after my presentation to make these comments to be appropriate. But thank you very much, guys. Have a great evening.
Well, thank you. That's very nice to hear. We definitely pride ourselves on being peaceful and supportive to new businesses. So again, thanks, and we look forward to trying out.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Take care. Okay. So those were the new applications, and we have a lot of other things going on. So thank you everyone for being here and for staying engaged. The next topic that we're going to discuss is a proposal to open a casino at the Water Club. So I think that we've touched on this as a committee briefly already, but it hasn't been an official agenda item, and that's why we wanted to bring it up here tonight. Just some background on this issue, is that there was an RFEI, which is a request for an expression of interest. It's not to be confused with an RFP, which is a request for proposal, which is a much more kind of official request, but there was an RFEI to see if there were interested parties who wanted to open a casino in Manhattan. There were 9 proposals to open a casino in Manhattan, and one of them fell under in our district, and that was the Water Club. And so there's definitely opposition from Assemblymember Heastie and Harvey and others to have a casino anywhere in Manhattan. Apparently, according to Senator Hoylman, there are people in the state legislature who want a license for a casino outside of Manhattan. But our representatives seem very lockstep in opposition for a license in Manhattan. And they've all gone on the record and kind of expressed that I was able to share that they are in opposition of a potential casino at the Water Club. Councilmember Powers also made sure of this. Apparently there is some interest of a casino in Times Square, but again, the expectation is that constituents and electeds in that area will likely oppose such a casino. Assemblymember Epstein reminded us that in the next 10 years, the Water Club's lease will be up. So that is an opportunity to rethink the space and what we as a committee and a board would like to see happen on the waterfront. And now might be a good time to kind of start to think about some alternative uses for the space. So this item on the agenda is because the electeds are kind of reaching out to us, hoping for some sort of resolution that we come together to create, because it's a good idea to kind of like jump out ahead of things. And if we express our ideas and thoughts about a casino at the Water Club early on, it's more likely that our comments will be heard and taken into consideration. So Jesus was kind enough, he can't be here tonight, but he got us started on potentially a resolution that we can talk through this evening. And, you know, I think that it can just be an open discussion about a casino in the Water Club space, and then maybe what some alternative uses for that space might look like. And yeah, I'm interested in what folks have to say or think about this issue. And I think at this point, I'll open it up to people who have already raised their hands. Jeannie, you were the first. So if you want to.
Sure, thank you. Did you say that the lease is up in 10 years though? So they were here a month ago for a license?
It's 8 years, but.
8 years. So if we, so they still have title to the space and whatever, however they want to use it. If that's not a casino, whether it's not, had they, with the intent, they told us a month or two ago, two times now, that it was a restaurant for the public. And if they stay with that, do we have, what can we say about use for the space if they're going to keep the lease for 8 years as a restaurant, if they don't go with casino?
Sorry.
I'm just confused, because if they're interested in casino and they're denied, whether it's, across the board in Manhattan or in our district, in our community, if they're denied, they still have a lease to the owners still have a lease to the property for 8 years as a restaurant. So I'm not quite sure, like, what would this community board add to the conversation about the future use of the space if they just say, never mind, we're going to be a restaurant? I'm not sure what we're trying to figure out on future use.
Right. So really the conversation now is like talking about their request for interest, or whatever that acronym, request for expression of interest. And I think that if as a committee, we do not want to see a casino in that space, we have to kind of write that out somehow.
Okay.
So that's
So-
really
That's the bottom line. Okay, that's what we need to focus on. All right. I thought we were talking about and future use. And I'm like, well, maybe we should just decide, just have this conversation about whether or not we want the casino is exactly how you just said that. So.
right. I think that like in the resolution, we could kind of share some ideas or thoughts of how it could be better used than being turned into a casino in the stipulation, but we can take that when we kind of like write it out.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Seema?
I'm curious if we even want to put the water club at the center of this discussion, or if we want to think about it from the perspective of, do we want, a casino in Manhattan, period? Well, the location is, one thing or another. I know that there are hotels in Times Square that I think is also vying for something, what I've read publicly. But, I'm curious if we need to put the water club at the center because it's in our district, or if we can write, something more generally about, whether we support or do not support a casino in Manhattan in general.
That's a great point. And I do think that is the direction that we probably should go if the consensus amongst us is that we wouldn't want any casino. I don't think, it is unfortunate that we kind of had the issue with the water club not too long ago, and now they're coming in for this. But I think that if it was, Serafina who wanted to open a casino, our response might be similar. So I do appreciate that comment that maybe something that whatever we write can be a little bit more general, but I do think there should be acknowledgement somewhere that the water club, which is in our district, did respond to the RFEI, but that definitely doesn't have to be the crux of our resolution. I agree with you, Seema. Paige?
Okay, I just want people to be aware. You look at the water club, they own the parking lot is what we're referring to. The other is on a barge, and that's, I think, controlled by the Coast Guard or something. It's the water club is not a building that is built on land. It was a ship, and then they somehow secured it, that it's moored there. Secondly, if anything goes in that space, it should be a park. We're trying to make a green space around the necklace of New York, and it should be a continuation going straight up. I don't think it should be used for anything else but a park.
Thanks, Paige. I will say that in their request of expression of interest, they said that their space wasn't just the parking lot. It's 780 running feet along the waterfront, 24,000 square feet of built space, and an 100-car parking lot, 450 feet of open deep water pier. And they also mentioned in their in this application that if the casino needs more space, I don't know who the you is referring to in their application, but you can build and float in a custom casino. So they're not just talking about the parking lot, they're talking about a much.
Well, forget the water club, but that space, if they don't have a lease in 10 years, that whatever structure will not be part of what is going to be available.
Okay.
So what they have and what's going to be in the future will be two different things that will be available. It still should be a park.
I like the park idea for sure. John?
Just very quickly, I agree with Seema. Let's not put the water club at the center of this. Just for, I can think of a lot of reasons not to have a casino in Manhattan, especially in our area, but when Assemblymember Epstein and Hasty and other people say this, what reasons do they put forth? And I'm not disagreeing with them, I am agreeing with them, but I'd just like to know what would be the most salient arguments that we would be making on this. I mean, I can think of crowding, I can think of all sorts of things that, and sailing there's a Netflix series called Ozark about sailing a riverboat in and making a casino out of it, and we all saw where that ended up. So, but what would be, that wasn't a very good idea. But what are the main arguments that we'd make against this?
Yeah, I'll let Alexandra chime in as well, but I think exactly what you said and probably what you're thinking of, the overcrowding, additional traffic, folks coming in from who knows where, potentially not respecting our community, the neighborhood. Alexandra, were there other comments from, I wasn't in the meeting that kind of started this, or Anton, actually, you could also.
Yeah, I wasn't present at that meeting, but I think it would be important for the committee to decide their reasons too, as well, as to why, whether they, you want to focus on the water club or whether you want to focus on a casino in general, like what reasons you believe either that you would want this or not want this. I also wanted to clarify that the submission that the water club, in addition to 31 other respondents made, was in response to an RFI, which is a request for information. So basically, it's just at the point of the stage where the RFI is used by the Gaming Commission just to solicit information from parties that are interested in gaming facilities. So basically, they're not at the point where they're selecting anything, but just to kind of get input from, and just to have gather information on who's interested in this. So I just wanted to make that point, but yeah.
Thank you. Susan?
I'm sorry. Can I just to piggyback on Alex, sorry, is it an RFI or is it an RFEI? Because those are actually different things. And I was trying to Google around, I couldn't. So an expression of interest is actually an entity putting forward their own expression of interest in a potential contract, and an RFI is just background information.
Yeah, so basically with the RFI is what the Water Club had submitted. Basically, the Gaming Commission, they released their RFI, so the request for information for unawarded commercial casino licenses, back in October 2021. The deadline for submission of questions was November 10th, 2021, and the deadline for RFI responses was December 10th, 2021. So the information we have now is basically just the information that the Water Club, along with 31 other respondents, just basically submitted for, informational purposes. But yeah, what I'm referring to is the RFI.
Okay, that's just different than an RFEI. So I just wanted to clarify that. And I'm happy to clarify that even further if it's necessary for this conversation, but I'll defer to you, Claire.
That's fine. I just, in my notes, Alexandra, it says that there's an RFEI, and so that's not the case.
Well, what, in terms of what they submitted so far, that was the RFI. And I'm happy to also pull it up if that would be helpful too.
So there hasn't been an RFEI.
I am only familiar, I've only read the RFIs so far. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're talking about an RFI, not an RFEI. That was my mistake, I guess. Susan?
A few things. One is I've done proposals for decades in my day, and an RFI and an RFI are essentially one and the same thing. But having done a zillion proposals, I can tell you that if 9 entities submitted an RFI, that the next thing you know, it's going to turn into an RFP, which is why we need to come up with a resolution fairly quickly. I'm a little puzzled about, if the Water Club's lease ends in 8 years, is the casino an attempt for them to extend the lease? I mean, I don't quite understand how you get yourself organized and into a big construction mode when your lease is coming up So I think this may be a bid for them to be able to extend it, but I am completely against it. It's a horrible idea.
Yeah, I think that the lease ending point was just kind of like an additional piece of information to kind of continue our thinking and thought process. I think that Assemblymember Epstein brought it up just to kind of like encourage us to be creative of what we might want the space to be once Water Club potentially like vacates the space. Sorry for that conclusion, but I hear your opposition to a casino here. And Dan? Oh, we can't hear you. No. Okay, we'll come back to you. I could read your lips, but I can't hear your voice. We'll have Anton go and then come back to Dan.
Just from my understanding, I thought this was not an either or situation. My understanding from the meeting with the powers back, I guess, in December or early January, was that the Water Club would continue to exist and that there would be a casino adjacent to the Water Club, and that the same people who own the Water Club would own the casino, but be different entities altogether in terms of corporate entities. But anyway, the bottom line I have is that I agree there should not be any casino there. And I'm not even happy that the Water Club is there. So I think it's inappropriate to have a casino in Manhattan, maybe in the outer boroughs where there's more room for parking and to handle crowds. But on the east side of Manhattan, around in the 20s on the water, is just, in my feeling, very inappropriate.
Thank you, Anton. Dan, maybe you could try again.
Oh, sure. I figured it out. So I think I mentioned this the other month, but my general sentiment is that in the book Liar's Poker, famous book about Wall Street in the 1980s, Michael Lewis talked, inspiration for the greed is good quote. There was a scene in it where they said, if you screw up here, you're going to be doing equities in Dallas. Well, guess what? Goldman Sachs is now moving their equities office to Dallas. I think we really need to figure out and think a lot about, as a community board in a city, the entire city, the tax basis, how we're going to be able to compete with Singapore, Hong Kong, Madrid, London. And because of that, I'm very serious about this. I could not think of a better place in New York City as well as Manhattan, but the East Side, to be able to have a casino like this. I think the traditional sense might be, okay, it's people coming in from out of town. Maybe they're just, old people on Social Security putting in a couple of cents to play slots. I think about this the exact opposite. If you're going to be a person who is working completely remote, as I am, and may never go back into the office, I'm untied down, have no real ties to New York City, why do I choose to continue to live here? I think it's precisely because of reasons like this. And honestly, being on the East Side, being able to be on the water, I think is the perfect place for a casino to exist. So not only do I want a casino in New York City, I want it in Manhattan, and I would love for it to be in our district. And I really think we have to think about the long-term viability of the tax base in New York. And this is just a small place to start. So I'm completely in favor of this.
It's good to have a variety of opinions, and that's, I definitely hear your comment, Dan. I do see that Sandy McKee has her hand up, so I'm gonna put her as a panelist, and you can unmute yourself. Thanks, Sandy, and share what you have to say.
And Dan, there already is a casino in New York, and it's on Rockaway Boulevard, so I encourage you to go and enjoy. One of the things here, though, is, and this is going to be our chair has asked to make this a joint resolution between land use and your committee. And I think one of the things that is really going to be a problem is they have 100 spots for 100 cars. So already their parking lot is not big enough. They won't let anybody else go through the parking lot, even though they're not using the space right now. They won't allow people to walk through or bicyclists to go through. So they've already shown that they're not particularly a very nice neighbor. But the other thing is they're going to, as Paige said, go out into the water. That's what they're going to do, is develop into the waterfront. And the chances of that happening are probably pretty slim because of all the different restrictions that would happen on the East River. But you know, we don't want to give up our public space for this type of use, I strongly feel. And I really think we should just put that in writing. And whether we have casinos in the rest of Manhattan, that's sort of up for other communities to decide, really. I think we should focus on our particular community and what we want to do with our waterfront. So that would be my position. I really think we have a pretty strong position to go against this. And regardless of whether it's the water club, whoever has the lease to that property, we don't want them building out into the river and having 100 cars parking on our waterfront. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy, and apologies for not mentioning your committee, but I'm in agreement with everything that you mentioned, and we'll collaborate moving forward as we work this resolution out. Susan?
I seem to recall that this community board spent a lot of effort and time developing a 197A plan, and I don't ever recall casinos being part of it. And I really think that we need to respect the 197A, which we've been trying to get the City Planning Commission to recognize. And you know, we shouldn't just start popping things into it that hasn't been given a really thorough look. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. That's a good reminder, and we'll definitely allude to 197A in our resolution. You know, this is a conversation that is really important, and there's definitely has been pressure from electeds for us to kind of come out saying something. I do definitely hear Dan's perspective, but I hear like a pretty overwhelming majority of us not wanting a casino in our district, any casino, but the fact that Water Club kind of did express interest shouldn't be ignored either. Jeannie?
So just for the record, I am against a casino anywhere in Manhattan, but in our district especially. There's just too many unknowns. And even with, you know, many months and lawyers and whatever it is, economists to figure it out, it's just not going to be worth it. I just don't think it's in our district anyway, it's the right space. So I'm against it.
Thanks, Jeannie. Appreciate that. Seema?
And I just want to say I work for the state, so I would recuse myself or abstain from any kind of voting on this, either way.
Noted. Thank you, Seema. John?
And even though she just recused herself, I continue to support her idea that we not mention Seema's idea that we not mention the waterfront, the water club, but we could mention that it went in a resolution. In particular, we don't want a casino, you know, taking up the precious space along the river and the waterfront in our district. We could put that in, I think. And I would argue here that, you know, people who are really familiar with this from this committee and Sandy's committee designate a group of people to come up to write up a resolution on this. I'll be quiet.
Thanks, John. Jeannie, I'm not sure if your hand is still up or if you have, okay.
No,
Susan?
it's down, sorry.
No worries, Susan. Oh, you're on mute, Susan.
If the electeds are looking for potential alternate uses, I'd like to suggest performance space.
Thanks. Good idea. Paige?
I would like just, that it might be a good idea that people refresh themselves. I was on the board when it was the 197 was written. And to my understanding, that's a 40-year plan. I don't know how many years we're into it, or at least 10 or 15 years into it. We have to reconsider what we want our community board to look like. So I think we should, not only this issue, a lot of other issues have to be brought up, that for the future, what should the future look like of this area? If they're going to put a casino, I think they should put it on the west side, maybe put it where the Circle Line is, but part of that's a park.
Thanks, Paige. I see Brian has his hand up, so I'm going to allow him to speak, and you should be able to unmute yourself, Brian.
Thank you, Claire. This idea is horrid in many ways. Just mostly that the Hudson River has a world-class greenway, and we have been fighting for many, many years on the east side to have the city stop using the waterfront as random development sites, random restaurants, random parking lots, just anything but a world-class greenway. The de Blasio administration did plan to do some serious capital upgrades. Having a major regional attraction right in the middle of where that greenway is supposed to be is not a good idea. And it would, given the current structure of casino licenses in both the United States and in New York State, it would absolutely be a regional, national, and international destination for its own things. Meanwhile, there are countless studies and reports about the negative impacts of casinos on neighborhoods. If we need to do something to retain the banker bros in this town, we should look into other venues, because this comes with way too many negatives on it. And it is particularly going to upset our plans, our hopes to have a functional greenway in our district along the waterfront, which I think is pretty much the local consensus of what that space should be. I'm counting down the days until the water club's lease is over, and I hope that EDC does not renew it. And I think the only reason why all of this is in the situation that it's in is because EDC is a public benefit corporation and not technically part of the city, and has to operate with profit in mind. And they just keep putting stuff over there that we do not want, and they're not answerable to us or council members or anybody else. That situation should change as well. We should write a resolution condemning the idea of putting any sort of major facility in this spot other than park space. And I would not be against the idea of having that resolution mention that the water club in particular has come across us the wrong way, and we would not trust them to be a good neighbor in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for being here and for your comments. I agree, and I do think that what you mentioned is kind of really connects the two issues that we're dealing with here. It's the issue of a casino in general, but also what we want our waterfront to look like. So I appreciate those comments. Paige?
Oh, no, I'm finished.
Oh, you're finished. Okay, well, thank you again for what you said, but yeah, so I think that, land use meets next week, I'm pretty sure. We still have another agenda item to discuss. Sandy, sorry, I see your hand.
I was going to say land use meets on Monday. We can take this. I think we don't have a history of working with the water club, so it may be easier for us to actually just state specifically the proposed location. I think we can be very neutral about it, but I think state that it is on our waterfront, and we are against locating a casino in that specific location. So if everyone on this committee agrees, I will take it to land use, and hopefully they would agree as well. If we just have a show of hands of who's supportive, we could then move forward.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. We can talk offline, Sandy, the notes that I took, and Seema's also taking notes too, to kind of make sure that our committees, the comments that were shared here tonight are expressed in the resolution. But I think that we are mostly on the same page of the problems that would arise from having a casino in our district. So I guess also, I'm sure you would welcome any of our committee members to come.
To say, write the reso, absolutely.
Yeah, to write the reso, or, come on Monday to kind of hear land use's perspective as well. But yeah, are folks okay with us, Sandy and I kind of collaborating and then continuing the conversation in land use, and then coming together to write a joint resolution that hopefully will be agreed upon at full board? Is that maybe, if you are okay with that, if you could raise your hand on Zoom right now, that would be helpful to just get a show of hands of who's amenable to that. And if you are having a hard time raising your hand on Zoom, you can just speak up. You don't have to. So I'm seeing 1, 5, 6 hands raised. Seema is recusing herself. I think that is a quorum or a majority of us. So I think that I'll type up the notes that I had. You all can put your hands down, and then no pressure, Seema, but if you wanted to, if you could send the minutes before Monday so we could just review them, but I can re-listen to the live stream as well. But I think that that is a good next step here. And then if anyone is interested in working on the resolution or kind of seeing it and adding to it before it goes to full board, please let me know. You can email me, and we'll make sure that you stay apprised on this issue, because we do want, as many brains working on it at once. Jeannie?
Oh, just something real quick. Do we need to hear from Charles Fernandez for raising your hands? I don't know if you need that, his.
Yeah. I think that we did have a majority, but I would definitely welcome Charles. Oh yeah, here's his hand. Charles, if you have anything to say, you're welcome to speak, or maybe that hand was raised in affirmation of sending this along to land use. I think his hand was up with the rest of ours, just a little blatantly. I hope that was the case. Okay, so seeing that, again, if you want to continue working on this, oh yeah, Charles, did you want to say something? You're welcome to unmute yourself. If you are saying something, we can't hear you, sadly. maybe the board office will reach out to Charles to see if there was just a technical issue or what was going on there. But I think, oh yeah, Alex?
I was just going to say, I'd be happy to send also like an email like I did last time for the open restaurants discussion, just, reminding everybody about land use, just in case people forget
That would be
that they're
helpful.
invited. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Alexandra. Yeah, that would be really helpful. And I think the more people we can get at this conversation, we can come to a resolution that everyone supports. So I would encourage you all to join land use. I'm going to try to make it on Monday as well. We can just continue to think about this. Sandy, did you want to say something?
I just we'll move it to first thing on the agenda.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone can participate.
And I'm sorry.
We don't have a big agenda, and I think it would be a great way to do it. So yes, please attend. It's 7:00.
Wonderful. Thank you. That is very kind of you. Thanks. And hopefully people stay for the whole meeting as well. But that sounds good. I feel like we're at a good place to continue the discussion on Monday. And again, thank you all for your thoughtful contributions. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Alexandra and Anton to continue our discussion on open dining. I do think that Alexandra had an update to share that I'm not sure. I think it was like from just a few hours ago. So maybe Alexandra could kick off the conversation and then Anton can take it from there.
Anton, if you want to start too, I don't know if you wanted to, if you had a preference.
Yeah, I just want to say I did meet with the land use and the transportation committee when they had their meetings. And subsequent to that, several people actually reached out to me directly and gave me more suggestions. And I've tried in my last version, which I did send to the board office yesterday, to include as much of these suggestions as I possibly could without running over into the situation of Community Board 1, where they had 5-page resolution. I didn't think that was appropriate. And I thought a resolution of a couple of pages, short and sweet, which got the main points across of what we felt we should be playing as a community board in this process. And I think the last couple of whereases, resolutions actually, talk to us being very active in helping promulgate the new regulations, and also when the new regulations are finally approved sometime this year, we have a strong say into the open restaurants programs, who in the applications, as we do right now for liquor licenses and also for sidewalk cafes. I think one of the things I heard from many of the community boards, and I did attend some of the open meetings, is that one rule doesn't fit everybody in all five, every establishment in all 5 boroughs. And so the local community board should have a strong say in how they want to see the quality of life of their particular community board affected or not with the new open restaurant regulations. And if Alexandra could put the resolution to the members, I would appreciate that. If not, then it could be emailed sometime after and we can discuss it at a later date.
I wanted to share an update. Actually, Susan just posted something related to it in the chat, but actually this afternoon, me and Jesus learned some information regarding open restaurants, actually. So regarding the program, we found out that basically in October, there was a lawsuit that was filed against the city. It was an Article 78 lawsuit against the city for doing a negative declaration decision, which basically the city had determined that there were no possibilities of environmental impacts from open restaurants. So that's why they were sued. So basically, following that lawsuit, yesterday the judge ruled in favor, actually ruled against the city. So for now, actually, the open restaurants, the permanent program is on hold for now. At this moment, the city has 30 days to appeal. And if they decide to appeal, it will move to the appellate courts, and then we'll see what the ruling on that is, and that will kind of determine what the timeline for the program is. If they don't appeal within 30 days, they must do an environmental impact study. The question remaining is whether they need to go through the land use process again, because that might actually be a requirement. And honestly, if they don't go through the land use process again, there is a possibility that they could be sued again. But ultimately, if that is the case, then that will be decided by the courts. But I think regardless, I think even if the permanent program is on hold for now, I do think, the committees still can be working on the resolution and can also be, still thinking about and determining like what the community board wants to see in this program. Yeah.
Well, that certainly takes the urgency out of the resolution. Well, I'm willing to have the resolution circulated, and anybody can make any comments and send them back to the board office, and we'll review them and discuss them at a future committee date.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So, Alexandra, if you could kindly circulate the resolution, perhaps we can have a little bit more of a discussion based on this resolution at our next meeting. And maybe the city will have made some decisions regarding whether they want to appeal the decision or not. Sandra?
I was just going to say that I think we're pretty sure this will move forward in some form. Extremely popular, and however it moves forward, we still need to actually make our ideas known. So it does take pressure off, but I think we should really consider what we're looking for. And I mean, the good thing is the more we hear about the program, the more supportive we are of it, because I mean, one of the big banners was that they are still going to have the same process where people who want to have an outdoor restaurant would still come to your committee to get it reviewed. So it's it's taking on a slightly different shape and form whenever we hear more about it. But yeah, I strongly believe it will move forward. So we should be prepared.
Okay, any more comments? Thank you, and we'll circle back again next. Oh, Brian?
Hey, Anton.
Hi.
So transportation saw the resolution the other day, and we had a draft circulated to us. So I'm aware of the current draft. I had a conversation with Anton the other day, and I expressed some tips because I think the core of it is good. So one of the things that we discussed was how some of the points in this resolution as they stand have been modeled off of what other community boards have given as feedback in their own discussions about it. And, just to tie that all together, we had one of our presenters tonight tell us how lovely it is that we're a non-violent community board, a bunch of reasonable people. It's true that both our board and maybe to some extent our district has a much different view on open restaurants than the feedback that some prominent community boards have given about this, particularly on the west side and far downtown in lower Manhattan. They're pretty tough on it because they're dense with restaurants. They're usually very tight on liquor licenses and very hostile to the idea of expanding nightlife and things like that. And so one of the things I wanted to say was, when we form this resolution and get some of these points that we're going to recommend as policy points, we definitely want to see sort of a cause effect, or like a what the problem is, how it's documented, and the solution that we're recommending for it. If we put it in that format, I think that makes for a strong resolution that that everybody can support. One thing I was going to say, though, is that if you have to hunt around a lot for some of the information on some of those points, and I talked to Anton about this in more detail, if you have to hunt around for data and it's not there, it may not be there, because a lot of other community boards do have discussions where they have members of the public come to them and just basically present nearly imaginary points or false equivalences or stuff like that. In particular is all the tie-ins for trash and the restaurants, where the city has a trash collection problem that is pre-existing. And I think that to some extent, the program should not worsen that issue, but I think that with the proposal to have each restaurant file a plan of trash disposal, that should be pretty good. That should alleviate any problem we have with that, but we haven't had a distinct problem tied to the restaurants. We haven't been able to separate trash issues between where there's open restaurants and where there's not open restaurants, because there's trash problems with alternate site parking and, you know, non-street sweeping and trash collection in other parts of the city too. And then another thing about all of this, one of the things that was a really good point is the clear path stuff, which I think was a very particular priority of the Transportation Committee, but it's certainly a priority to me. I can only speak for myself. And so you should definitely look to keep that in there as a strong and prominent point that will get strong support from the board. I look forward to seeing the final product from your committee. Anton, you're muted.
What version are you talking about? 'Cause I didn't finish what I'm talking about until yesterday. You probably looked at the earlier version, which I took your comments and I put them in the latest version.
Yeah, there was a revision that was circulated earlier in the week that matched the revision that the Transportation Committee saw last week, which means you've probably done a lot of updates to it since then. So
yes, I did.
Generalities. So don't worry about specific things. I'm not necessarily disputing anything that's in there. And I think Sandy made a great point. This program is very popular and the city is invested in having it come back in some form, and our constituents are invested in having it stick around. So that is something we should keep in mind when forming the resolution in terms of tone and how it leads into something that looks fair and appealing to everybody.
Okay, I agree with you. I think it is a very popular program, at least from what I've heard in the various open meetings, that there are people who, and many areas that do like this program. But as you said, there are certain areas of the city that don't particularly like it, or particularly outside the city in the boroughs and the outer boroughs, there seems to be more pushback than from the Manhattan side of the equation. But as I said,
I agree. The outer boroughs are not a part of the city.
As I said, one size doesn't fit all, and that's why we believe that, or I believe that community boards in each of these areas should have their say. So, Alexandra, if you could circulate this to the members of the committee, the latest version that I emailed yesterday, I'd like to have this as an open discussion item for the next meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that Anne Seligman has her hand raised.
Really? I didn't see that. Okay, Anne? You're not on my screen.
Yes, because I'm not a member of the committee, but this actually is why I'm here. And you and Brian have both referred to a version that was circulated earlier this week to the Transportation Committee. I am on that committee and I have double checked and I have not received that. So there's like something going on there. The issue that I have raised over and over and over again about the open dining and the like streets, you know, having more availability of people dining either on the sidewalk, on the street, is the kind of unintended consequences is when restaurants closed. I actually brought this up at the last full board meeting. So I don't know if any of you guys heard or remember that, but you know, what happens when a restaurant either closes or moves? And the way the law is written, and I looked at it like what the legislation is now, which I have not reading legislation, but it basically says, well, they send a letter, and if nobody does anything, then the cops, you know, will eventually remove the structure. And I just think it's such an opportunity for a much better solution to that problem, which is something we've already experienced in this, you know, in this district. Like there are already restaurants that have closed and have abandoned structures. And I think if we need to address not the just before and during. And I think during, I'm not so worried about the trash disposal as I am about the street cleaning, which becomes really difficult with structures there. And so like during the summer, when it gets hot and rainy, it gets really like smelly and disgusting. And we need to kind of like, that's not any place anybody's going to want to sit. And so, but and going back to the, what I think is the least addressed issue in this entire concern is, or in this entire issue is what happens when a restaurant closes. And if we can do something to kind of doubly incentivize landlords to re-rent that space and like give landlords 6 months where they don't have to tear that space down. And I mean, I'm spitballing, like this is just like, it's something we need to pay attention to, that it gives them incentive for a restaurant not to sit empty for a year. And it means that the city is not on the hook for paying for tearing down that structure. And the structure does not get torn down and then rebuilt, which is both a like economic and an environmental cost.
Well, one of the points I made in this latest resolution, aside from fees to compensate the city for the use of public space and to obtain a permit, a deposit should be taken so that the DOT can remove or clear abandoned or unsafe structures.
Great, that's great. But I think this is a great opportunity for some more creative solutions than just like, we'll collect money from one side and we'll spend it out on the other side. And I just think it's a great opportunity to do that. And I hope we can.
Well, I think we can think about that and perhaps have a little bit more in-depth discussion on this point at our next meeting.
And Anton, I like I said, I'm not on this committee, but I will try and come next month. If I can't, you are welcome to reach out to me anytime to discuss it further.
Very good. And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, does anybody have any further comments? I'll turn this meeting back over to Claire.
Thank you, Anton, and thank you for your tireless work on this yet again, to be continued, but really appreciate you leading this discussion. I'm gonna waive my report, but I want to have a very quick, let's try to keep it like at 10 minutes, 15 minutes max, but I appreciate Seema reminding me last month that we did say that we would have a discussion on our kind of like new format to writing resolutions. And I just want to hear from the committee what folks think about this new way of like having the resolution up and filling it in all together with the applicants included, versus what we used to do, which was have people volunteer to write a single resolution, the whole slate of resolutions. I just want to hear people's opinions and what they're thinking about. I definitely have my own thoughts here, and I did briefly speak to the board office, but I'm all ears at this point, and I'll hand it off to Susan to share what you think about this.
When we first started doing it, I thought it was going to be too clunky and not work, but it seems that things are going a lot more smoothly. And if we can keep it going smoothly, I think it makes sense. I think it's really good to bring the owners in on it and make sure everything is correct. And then it's done and nobody has to worry about writing it.
Thank you, Susan. Yeah, and I do think that, I can't really remember, sadly, when we started this, but it's definitely been a few months of this new format. And I do think that in the beginning it was clunky, but now we kind of know what to look for, what to include in the resolution, and things are going like slightly faster. So thank you for that point. Anton.
I agree with Susan 100%. I think one of the more important parts is that we're doing it in conjunction with the restaurant owners, and there should be no issue of what we put in there that they have to follow. There's no, you can't say, well, I didn't understand you're going to do this or do that. It's there, and they basically have agreed to it when we make the resolution.
Definitely. I think it really does add to the accountability of the applicants in terms of, they're here listening to us, watching us write all the stipulations that we discussed. We can clarify the hours, and that's actually what this stemmed out of. It was kind of a discrepancy between what was stated in the meeting and what was listed in a resolution, and that was what made us kind of rethink this whole process. So I appreciate both of your comments on that. I wonder if anyone else has any suggestions, or, we can definitely amend, kind of rethink it in a way to, I don't know if there's any kind of improvements, suggestions for improvements moving forward. I'm definitely welcome to them, but just personally as the chair of this committee, I do think it might take like slightly more time in our meeting time, but I do think that, us as committee members who aren't taking minutes, we can leave the meeting and have that be done, and maybe not necessarily have the resolutions help being, over our head for the rest of the week. I also think that, I know as the chair of the committee, I have written resolutions when committee members have not been able to write them in time, and I don't think that's really necessary. And this new method has proven that it doesn't have to be that way. I also think that it might be a strain on the office, and this is my words, not theirs, but to continually ask folks who might not get their resolutions in right away to submit their resolutions. So I am feeling pretty good about this new system, but I wanted to see what folks had to say and if there was any, other opinions. Seema?
Thanks, Claire, for bringing this up. I guess I agree with Susan and Anton that this seems to be going well. I think it goes well when it's relatively easy applicants with maybe no stipulations or just a couple that, we've discussed, and that's pretty straightforward. I guess it gets more challenging with more complicated applicants, but I was trying to rack my brain for any recommendations or ideas for those types, the more complicated ones, but I guess I can't really think of anything that would be helpful to do and execute on the spot. So I agree. I think let's just keep it going. But I can't think of anything to streamline it.
Right. I think that that's a great point. When they are more complicated, I don't think this isn't like set in stone and we don't have to have every application happen this way. I think that if there is an application that's a little bit more controversial or less kind of boilerplate, I think that we definitely can pull it out and have someone think on it more and include more details, or maybe like refer back to the recording and include those details like in a space that isn't the live meeting. And I think that that's something that we should definitely continue. I'm just thinking there have been a few that, we need to include more details that might not be available in the moment. So I do want to respond to your thought and say that like, if there are applications that are a little bit more complicated, they definitely can be pulled from the template method and someone can write them on their own time as well. But that's a great point. And again, like we can continue with this, and if something happens or if anyone has some great idea of how to better streamline it, definitely open to that. But I appreciate you bringing this up because we were kind of just going through with the template situation. And I did say that we would talk about it afterwards and never brought it up again. But I do think that now that we've had so many months of this, we've kind of like worked out some kinks and are able to kind of really just go with the flow of templates and each applicant. There are some awkward seconds occasionally, but I also would like implore all of you to speak up. And I know we state the rules of like raising your hand, but I think that I'm a little bit more lenient with that. And if like it really is me kind of like leading the show of writing the resolutions, but if there are any kind of like changes to the statements or like grammatical suggestions that you have, I would like welcome any of you to kind of comment on the resolutions as we're writing them, because technically we are writing them together. So please speak up if you have any ideas or additional kind of stipulations or things that you want to include that were mentioned that I might have forgotten in the moment. But I am hearing that like it's working. Generally, it's definitely have to adjust, but I think we'll keep it going for now, and maybe we could have another check-in, early summer or something to just make sure that we're all in consensus on that now. But other than that, I don't have any other old or new business, and it's pretty late. So if anyone else wants to raise something, Dan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just quick thing around like the open streets in restaurants. I actually recently read that CB2, which is basically downtown in the West Village, did a really good study on open restaurants and streets, where they went so far as measuring the width of different streets and in different areas, and what was available to be driven through, what didn't allow access, kind of crowding, noise complaints, etc. So I think that if we're looking for a little bit more kind of intel around a good understanding of how we might be able to move forward, that's definitely something that people can reference.
That's a great point. If you don't mind sending that study to Anton, I think he would appreciate that.
I certainly do. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Jeannie?
Could that be shared with everyone on this committee?
Yeah, so Dan, why don't you send it to
Thank you.
Alexandra and then.
Yeah, you can send it to me and I can share it with the committee.
Great, thank you all. Okay, other than that, I don't see any other hands up. I have to go down to, so does anyone have a motion to adjourn at this point?
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Anton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, actually, it doesn't require a second, sorry, but thank you, Jeannie.
Take it back.
No one objects, hopefully. So seeing no objections, we will adjourn the meeting. And this meeting is adjourned at 9:12 p.m. Again, thank you all for being here and for your enthusiastic participation.
Thank you.